This conference will now be recorded.
One second, I'll just develop it. Good morning, guys. We'll start in 2 minutes. Bear with me. It's coming, right? Guys, can you hear me? Okay, we'll get started. So I will take the questions at the end of the session, probably at 8:50, all your Q&A, so that we can continue the flow basically. Okay. So yesterday we seen some basics, right? Like what is Azure DevOps, where you have to work, how it looks like, and advantages of Azure DevOps, and what are the different aspects why companies are preferring the Azure DevOps, etc. Right? Today we will see what are the relevant things, uh, So DevOps is a concept, right? And we are implementing DevOps with different tools, Jenkins, Bamboo, Azure DevOps, Octopus, etc. There are hundreds of tools to do the DevOps. So, but obviously you cannot learn each and every tool in one go, right? It's not just like academic session, right? Of course, even if you learn it, you cannot implement it. So first you have to learn one tool and master it, and you should know the concepts as well. Once you know the concepts and you know one tool, it's easy to learn another tool. Probably you don't need another training session practice speak if you already know one tool and all the concepts knowing in a better way. So that's the reason I talk about the concepts, what you need to learn, and then we apply those concepts using this tool, Azure DevOps. That helps you in future as well. Let us say after 4 or 5 years, probably Azure DevOps gets dominated by some other tool. Okay, you already have experience in Azure DevOps, you know the concepts. It's easy for you to switch to the other tool basically. And this is not the case with the programming languages. You cannot simply switch from .NET to Java because that takes years and years to learn programming language. But tools are like fixed set of menu items, right? Probably have 50 menu items or some 100 menu items, not more than that. You can estimate it how many days in how many days you can learn a tool. But programming languages you can never estimate because I've been working or many people been working for years and years, and we hardly use 10% of the features or even 5% of the features what is available in a programming language because various reasons, right? You don't get time, and the other one is your project also will not give you opportunity to work on a number of concepts because you work on the same features for years and years. So these are various reasons why programming languages or programmers face difficulty in mastering the languages. But people who work on tools, they can master it. They say I'm an expert in a tool, but a programmer cannot say I'm an expert in Java or .NET because the moment you say I'm an expert in some programming language, there might be some other guy who worked on something who where you never worked on. So it's a problem actually, but tools are not like that. So so we talked about software development lifecycle phases, right? So requirements management, coding, or designing and coding, and then build, deployment, testing, and the maintenance phases. These are the various phases you have it a part of software development lifecycle. Now, what are the relevant things that are available in your Azure DevOps? So the first one is requirements management, right? To manage the requirements, you call it as so basically you use a Scrum methodology or a Kanban methodology or waterfall methodology or no methodology. So whatever is the methodology, project management methodology you use, end of the day, you are working on some set of requirements to develop some product or an application. So to do those things, we have the feature called Azure Boards. This is a feature in Azure DevOps, and we use Azure Boards to manage these things. That means you go to the Azure Boards and you create requirements. We call requirements as a work items in Azure Boards, and use the same terminology work item even in Jira as well. This is a very standard terminology. Or if you don't remember it, you simply say requirement. That's it. Okay. We talk about Scrum and Kanban as well in the coming classes. Okay. And what's next actually? So in your software development lifecycle, once you have the requirements in place, you need to develop the code. And before that, of course, you have the architects or designers who comes into picture, who do the architecture and design. But end of the day, it converts into your coding, right? All these architecture and designs are just like a diagrams, which gives enough information for the developers to start with the coding. So you have the coding. You do develop the code. It might be .NET or Java, whatever it is. Right? End of the day, it is a code, and you are having more than one guy working on the same project, right? Then, if it is a one person, you can keep your code on your local laptop, and nobody bothers about it, and you can manage it. But let us say in application development or product development, it's not one person, right? It will be always more than one. It can be 10, 15, 20, 100 as well, based on the complexity of the application that you are using. That means For just an application, there are a number of requiremements, a number of developers are working. They are not individual pieces, right? They have to go together as an application code actually. So how do you manage it? If you manage it on your individual laptops or PCs, it's not easy to merge all that code and make one piece or one project actually. So you need to work in a centralized fashion. So that's where we have the concept called source control management or version control management. These are the different terminology that we use. Be it a source control management, be it a version control management, be it a version repositories, whatever it is, this is source control management. And for that, we have a Azure repos in Azure DevOps. Okay, and this you know already some source control management tools. We already talked about it, like a Git, TFS, and there are many other version controls like Actiro, Serena Dimensions, and Bitbucket. There are many things like that actually. So here the concept name is Azure Repos, and it has the ability to integrate with external repositories as well. That means it can connect to the external Git, or it can connect to the Bitbucket, which is owned by some other company, and it can connect to TFS, and Azure Repos itself is having a Git, means since recently acquired by Microsoft. So Azure, the beauty of Azure Repos is you don't need to worry about to which version control management system you are connecting. The moment you know the URL, user ID, and password, you just go to the Azure Repos, connect to that repository, and you can manage your source code. Though you have hundreds of developers or thousands of developers, it doesn't matter. And on Azure Repos, you can apply some policies as well. Let us say who can do what. Let us say if I make you an administrator of my code base, right? If some person is having some bad intent, he can go and delete that one as well. Or by mistake also he can overwrite the code, some other person's code. So you need to apply some policies as well. So those kind of restrictions, we can call it as a governance. All those things can be done from Azure Repos. Okay, so for source code management, this is Azure Repos. And the what's next? The next thing in your software development lifecycle is your architecture, design, and then you do the coding. And then what's the next one? It's the you compile your code, and then you will get some binaries. Binary is nothing but your EXEs or DLLs or jar workers. Different programming languages have different artifacts or binaries. These are interchangeable words: binaries, artifacts, all these things are a similar name. I might be using one of these names, but don't get confused. Okay, and it is the same case with other people as well. They also use different words. Okay, so what do you do in compile phase? Let us if you are doing some .NET application, right? You are working on that. You basically use a Visual Studio. You write some code, and then you build the solution. Building the solution means nothing but you are compiling the solution. Let us say you written some 1 lakh lines of code, but you are not moving that code to the environment. You are building, then it will give you some compact version like EXE or DLL based on the project type what you are working on, and you take that to the servers. So that's called the build phase. So you are doing it manually, right, using your IDE, be it Visual Studio or Eclipse. That has to be automated. Once you develop code from the IDEs and you are pushing that code to the version control management systems, the next phase is compiling. That you are doing it manual on your local laptops or desktops. We do it on Azure DevOps using Azure pipelines. So Azure pipelines is a concept on Azure DevOps which will do build and deployments. So under Azure pipelines, we have different categories because you have the build phase and as well as the deployment phase in your manual SDLC, right? So you have to have the relevant concepts in automation as well. So you call in Azure pipelines, you call build as a build pipeline and a deployment as a release pipeline. Okay, we will look into those things once we start doing the labs actually. But you need to understand all the concepts. Then when I'm giving the session, right, you will understand what will be the next one actually. Otherwise, it will be a blank page. So you have the build pipelines and Azure pipeline, release pipelines under the umbrella of Azure pipelines. And what's the next one? So in your SDLC phases manual, once you deploy the code, the testers will come and test it, be it manual or be it automated. So the way you have the requirements to develop the code, in the same way they do have the test cases to test the application, right? They do write test cases or test plans, and they may have the automated test suite or they may have the manual test cases. How do they manage? In other areas, they use Jira or Excel sheets or emails, whatever it is, based on the organization capabilities, right? Here you manage those test cases or test plans. These are all just tests, right? What you maintain in Excel. In Azure test plans. Azure test plans is a feature, again a feature in Azure DevOps to maintain your test cases, to update your test cases or plans, and you can do test execution as well. And what's next? Artifacts. We just talked about artifacts, right? We call it as a artifacts is the DevOps terminology, and artifacts is also a generic English language, right? But the moment you say, I know how to use an artifact repository, then people think you know DevOps. Okay, rather than using exe dll or something, you can simply say .NET artifacts or Java artifacts or Python artifacts, like that. Use like that, then you will get an impression basically. So so you have a feature called Azure Artifacts on Azure DevOps. It is nothing but your another file system. But this file system is especially designed for holding exes or images, etc. Because let us say you keep some image in Excel. It's not a good place to keep image in Excel, right? Of course, you can insert an image, but you cannot search for it, and sometimes it will get corrupt, or sometimes you cannot open it. So you will get these kind of issues, right? Nobody can stop me from putting that image into the Excel, but it's not the best way to manage your images, right? In the same way, you can keep your artifacts like exes or DLLs in my Azure repos itself, let us say in Git or Bitbucket, etc. But that's not the right way to keep your artifacts. It has to be managed in a different way. So that's where you have the Azure artifacts, but in other tools as well, there are many other open source tools as well. We have a JFrog Artifactory, Artifactory, and Artifactory from Nexus, Sonata, etc. There are hundreds of Artifactory tools, but on Azure DevOps, we have Azure Artifactory. Okay, so these are the best practices. Nobody can stop you from doing malicious things or something, right? But you have to follow the best practices. Do artifacts also have external plugins? Like if I want to, yeah, you can connect to the external Git or something, or you can use it as it is actually. Let's say if I want to connect to JFrog instead of using Azure Artifacts. I haven't connected that one, so but we'll check with you actually, because JFrog itself is again one sophisticated environment, and this is also a sophisticated tool. Okay, and both are doing the same job, right? So that's where I never tried it. If they're doing the different jobs, right, then probably I will go and look at the integration. I never got that one, and nobody asked me as well. But we'll check. But they're doing the same. Majority things you may not have the plugin, but if it is there, I can let you know. And then okay, so you have different SDLC pages in a manual way, and you have the different features in Azure DevOps to cover them. Now we covered all those areas, SDLC pages. What else you have? Because this is a platform, right? Azure DevOps is a platform. Other than your regular activities, you also doing your collaboration activities, right? We talked about it. DevOps is nothing but a collaboration between your developers, testers, and operations teams. Right? So you also need to have such kind of features in a tool. We don't want to do we don't want to use another platform for that. So that's why we are coming to Azure DevOps. So to cover those collaboration activities or collaboration areas, we have a lot many things, right? In Azure DevOps, we can create the dashboards in Azure DevOps. You don't need to write single line of code. It's all drag and drop. But you need to learn how to use it, how to configure, what are the different dashboards available, what are the different reports available. Once you learn, it's easy for you. Drag and drop the widgets. We call it a widgets, right? You can drag and drop, or you can add widgets, all that kind of thing. You can create a dashboard. This is a famous place for management guys, right? They like it rather than technical people, because that's okay. Technical people will go to different menu items, they bring it, but management guys, they have to show it to their management as well. They don't have enough time to go and search into different areas for the different reports, right? That's where the dashboards. So you have the dashboards for the collaboration activities, and you can share it with the other people as well by exporting or something. Okay, so it's kind of collaboration, right? And then not only that, you have the wikis. So you basically maintain some documentation about your application. You might have done some best practice, or you might have developed some utility. You means are the developer or tester, whoever it is, right? Or as a DevOps engineer, also you might have created some plugin or something. If you want to share it with other people, you don't need to, use a Word document or something. The way you are having Wikipedia, right? In the similar way, you have the wikis in Azure DevOps as well. You simply go and maintain your documentation in wikis, and you can share it with the people, whoever you want, or you can export it, and you can use it like anything. Okay, Azure wikis. And then we have this alerts and notifications. So the collaboration area, right? One important activity is how you communicate with other people, right? So we want to avoid all these manual way of communication. So you will be able to do alerts and notifications uh, right from the Azure DevOps. You don't need to depend on other SMTP servers or etc. It is built in actually. You just go ahead and use it. You don't know what SMT server is being used in the background actually. Don't worry. You just want to send an email to some person, you configure that guy here, and what is to be sent, etc. All those things are configuration. So you have the alerts and notifications area as well in Azure DevOps. Okay, these are easy to use and easy to configure. So those are the collaboration areas, and then feedback management. This is the last one, right, in your life cycle. You always look for feedback. I also look for feedback, how I'm doing, right? So let us say you done your deployments, you done your development, etc. You can request for feedback as well. Such kind of facilities are also available. Request for feedback is nothing but another email only. But only thing is, if you are sending manual emails, you have to copy paste that content and put it in somewhere else, in some tool, right, to maintain or to track the feedback. But if you are using a tool, you don't need to do all that stuff. Simply send some feedback request, they will send it. It is available in your tool. So it is all automated. And finally, reporting. So you have n number of things, right? You have dashboards, you can drag and drop, and you have wikis, and you have builds are happening, deployments are happening, and the test execution is happening, and issues are occurring. Many things are happening like this, right? You want to generate some reports. Again, this is not manual. You have ready-made things, and you just need to know which is available where and how to get the data, etc. And you can generate the reports, and you can email them at regular intervals, or you can simply email on demand. Let us say I want it now, I can download and send it to you. But before that, I need to configure those reports actually. And again, you are not writing any scripting, or you are not writing any coding for that. These are the built-in features. So these are the different features that are available in Azure DevOps. This is comprehensive list. If you go to the home page, you will see all these things actually. Okay, available in Azure DevOps. It covers your software development lifecycle phases, and as well as your non-functional stuff like in communication, all these collaboration activities. So before you start doing or using some tool, right? People will ask you, okay, this is not part of your DevOps engineer work, but if you are becoming a lead or someone, you will get questions, right? Let us say, well, why Azure DevOps? And you will explain, because in terms of features and something, you will be able to explain why you are Azure DevOps. But This is a cloud version. What we are, most of the people going to use a cloud version. So that is on the Azure cloud. You will see it, right? And let us say if you take people like banking or finance, some government agencies, right? They don't like to put their code or data on the public cloud. Of course, it gives you the best security, best authenticity, but still we don't like it because we don't know, right, what is happening in the background. Let us say Microsoft says or AWS says, I am responsible for your data. But if at all it lasts, they will say, okay, sorry, I'm sorry for that. Okay, how much I need to pay for you? They will pay it. But you might have spent, years and years in developing that application or data, right? You lose all the data and it will go to many repercussions, right? So they don't want to get into all such kind of things. So what these, some of these confidential institutions or something, they don't want to keep that data or code on the cloud, but they want to use Azure DevOps. That's why Microsoft came up with the on-premise version as well. We talked about it. So you can download Azure DevOps Server uh, from Microsoft website, and you can install and configure in your own data center as well. And there is no difference in terms of features and the way you use. Everything is similar, and there is only one small difference, functional area, in terms of it is a very advanced, like we will show it here. So if you see Azure DevOps services, right, it's a cloud offering. You don't need to worry about scalability of your tool. It doesn't matter how much load is on the server. It's taken care by the Microsoft. And then flexible pricing. You are not buying the software license for the entire year, right? You are paying for what you are using, or you are paying quarterly or monthly. So you are not paying upfront cost for an year, etc. So those are the advantages when you are using Azure DevOps service on cloud. And you also have the on-premise version, what we talked. You can download Azure DevOps server from the Microsoft website. And it's not just a software installation, right? You are having a lot of data on the Azure DevOps, your configurations, your code, where it has to store. It has to have some database. So you need to set up the databases, you need to set up the servers, and you need to establish the communication, and you need to make it available to the users, and you need to add it to the Active Directory. All these different things you need to be doing when you are doing on-premise version. We were talking about one difference, right? So this SQL Server reporting services, right? I mean, the current version of Azure DevOps services is having some issue in terms of SSRS reports integration. Of course, don't worry about it. I just want to let you know that there is some difference as well. Of course, they will cover it in upcoming releases, but this will not affect you because you are not doing any SSRS reporting. Okay, these are the two flavors of Azure DevOps that you are having. Now, okay, we talked about Azure DevOps and we talked about software development lifecycle stages. Now you need to remember terminology. We talked about CI, CD, etc. Right? Now that's one important area as well. We already talked about it. So continuous integration, deployment, testing, monitoring, release management. I don't talk about it again because we already covered it. And then now we seen the relation between these Azure building blocks and the DevOps. DevOps building blocks is a generic concept. Azure building blocks is relevant terminology or the relevant features to implement these building blocks. So always remember DevOps is a concept. Okay, let's get into some in-depth details. Okay, probably today we will only see because in one day I don't want to push a lot of content into your brain. I'll just talk about this and then I will get into the portal and I will show you something. And I'm just showing this here because tomorrow you will know what I am going to show you basically. Okay. So to work with a DevOps, right? So let us say to work with a .NET or Java or Python, Perl, right? You create a project, right? You create a .NET project, you create a Python project, or you create a Java project. In the similar way, to work with all these different features like Azure boards or repos or pipelines, you need to create a project as well. Okay, so you create a here you call it as Azure DevOps project. You will create it on the portal. Okay, this Azure DevOps project is nothing to do with your .NET project or your Java project. It's just a name where you are keeping all your code files and you are calling it as a project. Here, this guy is keeping all these features like a repos or pipelines and everything. This guy is calling it as a project. Okay, both are not same. Your code project and this project is not same. This is just a name. Okay, so you create a Azure DevOps project, and then you start go ahead and using your repos and pipelines, etc. Right? But to use all of that stuff, you need to do some kind of configuration, right? So one thing is teams. What all you need to know? You need to create the teams, right? Who are using the Azure DevOps project. So you might be having some DB teams, you might be having some development teams or UI teams or testers. So you need to create the teams and give access to the Azure DevOps as per the role. Okay, and if you are working in a Scrum or some other project management methodology, you need to create sprints. Of course, you create the requirements and then you create the sprints and you set the dates, etc. Right? You also do in the DevOps project. And then areas is nothing but which area people are working on. I mean, these areas is good for reporting. Let us say your director or your VP wanted to know how many DB developers are working in this uh, project and how much effort they are spending. In the sense, they want to segregate it. They always want to know at granular level, as per the team or as per the role, etc. So these areas are nothing but that one. So we basically tag it. This group of people are related to DB. These group of people are related to web development. So these are areas. We will configure them as well. Okay, and then capacity. Okay, these are the bare minimum stuff that you do in Azure DevOps project configuration before you hand over this to the dev teams or testers to go and work with that. Okay, so capacity is nothing but let us say this is a 3 months project and you are having some 10 people. So obviously if you are working for a 5 days a week, then 40 hours, then it will be 200 hours, let us say 160 hours per month and 3 months it is 180 hours. That's your total capacity for 3 months if it is one resource. And if you have 10 resources, then it will be 4,800 hours. That's your capacity, right? So you calculate the capacity right from the Azure DevOps area. This is basically into project management area. But of course, now or later you will get into such kind of responsibilities as well. You can learn. Not only that one. Ideally, you will take leaves as well, right? So you have some 480 hours per month. But if you take 2 weeks leave, then your actual capacity is not 480 hours, right? Your capacity has to be taken out. Then it may become 450 hours. Then your project manager is lagging behind 30 hours. What happens? Either your project schedule has to extend or you need to remove some features from the current engagement. If you are doing it in a manual like Excel sheet and all, he has to spend hours and hours to just get the data. But if you are using these tools, it's all automated because you are maintaining everything in the tool, your leaves, your total available capacity per day or per week, and then total effort required to develop your application. All those things are made available in DevOps. So at any point of time, manager come to know whether my application development is going fine or running short of efforts. So that's called capacity. We will see all those things in labs. So that's it for the today for the theory part. We will just see in action actually what is Azure DevOps, etc. So you can go and use Azure DevOps in multiple ways. Since we are starting fresh, we will go in a very traditional manner. So, so to access this Azure DevOps is under Azure Cloud, right? So how do you access Azure Cloud? You have a URL portal.azure.com. First, you need to log into that. If you need to have a Hotmail account or your company account if you are working for a company, then you will be able to access it. So I use my Hotmail account because I'm an individual. So the URL is portal.azure.com. So I'll go there, and then I have a number of email IDs. That's okay. So I use my Hotmail, the first one, and my credentials are already saved. So I'm just going ahead. So these are my frequently used services. That's why it is showing it here. If you are logging for the first time, probably this is empty. And this is a menu on the top left corner. You will see all the different categories. And if you feel it difficulty, the better thing is you go and search for it. Actually, let us say instead of DevOps Azure, because everything is Azure, right? Just say DevOps. Then you will get options. We are going to use Azure DevOps. Just go ahead and select Azure DevOps. So once you select the Azure DevOps option from the portal.azure.com, you will land here. This is the home page of your Azure DevOps basically. Okay, from here, uh, this is a cloud concept, right? And this is being shared by n number of companies. Basically, they are organizations, right? So to maintain this isolation or security, the Microsoft came up with a concept called organization. Even inside your organization, let us say you are working for a company, you are having n number of verticals, right? Let us say telecom, healthcare, pharma, like that. Each and everything is a different business unit or a different division. People use a different jargons here. Here we can't use all those jargons right here because we have a lakhs of people using it. Here Microsoft is calling it as an organization. Okay, we can go ahead and create one organization. Since I will today, I'm not going to create a new organization because just a name actually. I'm already having an organization. I can go ahead and use it. So how I go? I have my Azure DevOps organizations here. Just go ahead and select. Now I am in my division, related to my division or my vertical. So you will land here. So I'm already having my organization name is this one. I can give it some different name as well. Let's do one new organization. Let's click on create new organization. So you only give some name because it has no significance. It is only for the segregation purpose, right? For a company, I have these many organizations, these many teams are available. Only for such kind of isolation purpose, we create the names. Okay. So it is saying, okay, you want to use it. Okay, continue. And then name your Azure DevOps organization. So the root folder, you cannot change it. I mean, dev.azure.com is the root, and I can give some name. I would say, I will give this name Azure DevOps 8 a.m. session, just for a time being. Okay, and you have the luxury to specify where you want to store the data. Of course, it is not visible to you, but this is as per law. You can use anything. So I'm in South India. I'll just select it, just say continue. That's it. You created an organization. This is where your journey starts actually. Then you can go ahead and create a project, Azure DevOps project. This is not a .NET project or Java project. So you create a Azure DevOps project. When you are creating a project, that means you are creating for some development, right? And it may follow some methodology or waterfall methodology, some methodologies. When you are creating the project itself, you will mention these areas. So based on the methodology you select, the respective items will change in your Azure boards because waterfall model works in a different way and the Scrum works in a different way. As per the template you select, your the look and feel, the segregation of the work items, etc., will change in your template. That's the beauty, right? If you want to create your one, then I don't need to come to Azure DevOps, because setting up the templates for Scrum or Waterfall takes a lot of time, because in a in-depth delivery methodology experience, not everyone has it. Okay. So the moment I created an organization, right, it is asking me immediately, go and create a project actually. So I'll simply say 8 a.m. You can give any name, Azure DevOps, and then you can create private or public. Public means even people on the internet can access, but it is only read only. They can search for projects. They can't do anything, just like a wiki. But obviously, we mostly work with the companies, so it will be a private. Just select private. When you select private, right? If somebody other than me needs to access it, you need to provide a permission. So that's it. Create a project. Okay, now we will land it here. We will stop it here and we will just look at what we discussed. We looked at different features, right? We talked about boards, Azure boards, and it contains many items, and repos, pipelines, test plans, artifacts. This is the homepage of your Azure DevOps project. And we also talked about wikis, dashboards, and some overview. We talk about all these areas, okay? And the, here you have the breadcrumb, right? This is a breadcrumb. So this is the path where you are. Many people gets confused because where you are exactly. So now I am in Azure DevOps 8 a.m. session organization. Under that, I have a Azure DevOps project called 8 a.m. Azure DevOps, and I'm under overview menu item. So you can simply it will change. Now I am in boards under work items menu item. This is how you read it, because you will feel it difficult when you are having a number of organizations or a number of projects. Okay. Let's play with this. In the upcoming sessions, we also, before we getting into all these areas, we talked about configuring the teams, configuring the sprints, etc. We will look into that one. Because first is first always. If you mix and match, right, let us say, if you don't go in sequence in 1 to 10, you will not understand concept. Once you work on sequence for one project, then you go left and right, because you know what you are doing basically. So for the first, you are learning, we are going sequence. Okay, and you can do some project settings. Project settings, that's where you do your assignments or adding, giving permissions to different users, etc. Okay, so you forgot this one. I go to the project settings, right? I said we need to select the template as well, Scrum template or waterfall. What I did, I simply clicked on the create project. I did not give anything, right? That's the reason it selected a basic process. It doesn't contain anything. It's just a blank actually. That's not, we will change it. I mean, in the next sessions actually. We'll create another project and we will select a Scrum. Okay. So in Azure DevOps, right? Even though you do not select some optional options, it will go and take the default options. But if you go with that without knowing that, right, you are screwing your project. If you don't know the template what you are using now, and you go and give access to your project managers or the developers, and they will go get screwed, because they also don't know the difference between Scrum template or a basic template or waterfall template. So you need to be little careful while you are doing it. Okay, just check always before you give access to the different people. So we will stop it here for today, and I'll just take some question and answers from the guys online. And then I need to have a Bluetooth. I didn't buy it.
Hello.
Sorry. Hi guys.
Hello.
I'm open for question and answers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. Yes.
So, as part of the course curriculum, are you going to cover PowerShell or VSTS or both? Or I mean, what does exactly this particular course cover?
Yeah, you can get the course content from the management, but of course I'll tell you we are covering Azure DevOps and we cover the PowerShell, okay,
Okay.
and we also cover for basic or foundations of Azure Kubernetes and Docker.
No, there is a lot of disturbance. Your voice is breaking. I couldn't hear
Yeah,
properly.
so I'm saying, can you please? Yeah, so I'm saying we will cover PowerShell and we also cover Dockers and Azure Kubernetes Service and Azure as well.
Okay. So you were also mentioning about Nexus, I mean, Azure Artifact, right?
Yes, yes, we will
So,
be covering.
yeah, the other question I have is, um, will you, besides this artifacts, will you cover any other artifact repository, like Nexus or anything like that?
No, we are working on the Azure DevOps, right? This is a platform stack. So we are going to use Azure artifacts, but as part of this course, right, uh, whenever we are talking about the concept, let us say we were just talking about Azure pipelines, right? We also talk about other tools like comparison, let us say Jenkins, etc. But we
Mhm.
don't do work on that, but we do the some comparison while we are working on the sessions. In the similar
Okay.
way, we talk
Mhm.
about them, but we don't do because that is altogether a different tool.
Right. But then when you said you will be doing Kubernetes and Docker, I mean, those two are used for imaging and containerization, right? But then
Yes.
there are some integrations between Jenkins and DevOps, SonarQube and DevOps, I mean, Azure. So would you cover any of those integrations? Like, say, for example, if I have a Jenkins pipeline and now I
Mhm.
want to bring Azure on top of that, so how can I integrate Jenkins with Azure or Git and GitHub with Azure
Yeah,
DevOps? So I
let me
mean,
put this in this way, right?
mhm,
DevOps is a concept, and you are having n number of tools to implement the DevOps, right? And this
exactly.
course is for the Azure DevOps, and Azure DevOps also contains Azure Kubernetes service. So Kubernetes is again a ocean; it is a separate course. But I don't want to leave the people into the air. That's the reason we are
Mhm.
covering fundamentals of Dockers, at least creating a service and concepts and then deploying to the Kubernetes service on Azure, which is AKS. But if you want to learn in detail, that is a separate because that takes 2 months to learn at least to learn Kubernetes completely.
Okay.
And integration with Jenkins, Kubernetes, because those are different areas because you need to know Jenkins in detail if you want to
Right.
integrate your containers with Jenkins. That
Right.
is altogether different technology stack or sorry, tool stack.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Hello,
Okay. Yeah.
Hi,
Understood.
yes.
hello.
Yes, please.
Purna, Naresh here.
Yeah, Naresh.
Purna, so actually I'm completely working with Azure and Azure infrastructure, Azure
Okay.
DevOps and Azure infrastructure. So regarding the Azure infrastructure, you want to basics you want to tell, or you want to tell me the end to end with the project, how it is?
Okay. Yeah, this is targeted for the application DevOps to do the DevOps for the applications, not for the
Uh,
infrastructure. So you were talking about infrastructure as code, right?
yeah.
So that is a separate course that is running on, which you completely work with ORM templates and some intro to Ansible or Chef or other tools as well, some introduction. Here
Okay.
in this course, we will talk about some fundamentals of ORM templates because this is targeted for the application DevOps guys, not for the infra DevOps guys.
Okay. So I want to join to another session.
Check with the management because there are other sessions are going on for the infrastructure DevOps. You can check with them.
Okay. Thanks, Purna.
They don't talk about application DevOps. They talk about completely infrastructure DevOps, how you create infrastructure both on cloud and provisioning the softwares on your on-premise servers as well.
Because I'm working with the ARM templates with infrastructure.
Yes, yes.
So, okay, I'll
But
talk to the maintenance
hello, can you
one
guys
more.
go on mute? Someone is having noise from their end. Yeah. Go ahead, please,
Okay,
Naresh.
thanks, Purna.
Yep. Okay. Anyone
Hi
else?
Punya, good morning, Niranjan here.
Yeah, Niranjan, please.
Yeah, my question is like, as you said, it's different class for infrastructure DevOps.
Correct.
Is it infrastructure DevOps or infrastructure for Azure, not Azure DevOps, I guess.
Okay. So, this is a confusion, not only with you. This is with many peoples, and there is two reasons. Infrastructure DevOps is nothing but a automated way of infrastructure provisioning. So that you can infrastructure provisioning, automated way of infrastructure provisioning, or infrastructure as code. These are the different terminologies that are there in the industry. So the reason I am supporting
Purna,
application
one second.
DevOps and
Purna,
infrastructure DevOps. Yeah,
we are not able to hear you. Jagadish, can you please go on mute?
yeah. I guess some noise is there.
Jagadish, can you please go on mute?
Guys, once you ask the question, you go on mute so that you guys can listen to me properly. Okay, so nowadays the problem is the developers learn DevOps and they do know application DevOps. They know how to do build and deployments, and some non-techie people also learn application DevOps, build and deployments. But when they go for the interviews, they will be getting questions around infrastructure areas like how do you manage virtual machines or servers? How do you manage networking? How do you manage storage? Obviously they will fail because the backgrounds are different. Okay, there is a confusion. Obviously in a couple of months every organization will come to know that both are different, but already few organizations are clearly separating the job descriptions for both application DevOps and infrastructure DevOps. This session is for application DevOps. We will not be going to create any storage or app services or installing any softwares on the servers using ORM templates or using any other tools. This is not for that purpose, this session.
Okay.
Yeah, Purna, let's say once we are done with the application DevOps, is there any
Mhm.
certificate that is
Yeah,
available
so
for
yeah,
this?
Azure, yeah, Microsoft is having AZ 400, that is Azure DevOps Engineer certification.
So that involves only application DevOps?
Exactly. Yeah, you can go ahead and look at the content in that one. So whatever we talked in the demos or today, right, will be there in that AZ 400. You can have a look at it.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So probably you
So,
can take that certificate content as a benchmark to decide
right.
whether you want to go ahead with that
So
path or
then,
with this path.
is there any book or do you provide material in order for us to get prepared for that exam?
So we don't have I mean, the material preparation is currently going on because this is the latest one. So what you can do is, you can have the access to the recordings so that management will provide access to that.
But does Microsoft has any recommended books for Azure DevOps? I mean, Microsoft should have some material, right?
Of course, see, every product vendor comes up with the material, right?
Mm,
So you can find it on the Microsoft website.
okay.
So not only this
I'm
Azure DevOps,
not.
right?
Do you
Everything
recommend
comes up.
any book?
Yeah.
Guys, I never read any books because I'm doing DevOps, so I don't need to read the books. So, frankly speaking, I never read any books. I never bought any books on DevOps. If you want, I can just do some research on Amazon, and you can find books on that one.
Apurna, one more thing, like for AZ 400, I have verified one, but for that, need to go through few other prerequisite certificates.
Okay, what are they?
I'm not sure about that. I'll verify and update it here.
It's not like that. Okay, let's see. I mean, we can discuss offline. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So another 5 minutes, guys. Any other questions? Or you can email me. You have my email ID, or you can talk to the management. They can clarify the doubts. And regarding course content, you can take the course content from the management. We are covering all the life cycle pages, automation, along with the PowerShell and foundations of Docker and Kubernetes, and we will deploy them as well.
Okay, you mean cover the PowerShell scripting basics?
Yes, yes, we do PowerShell
Oh,
scripting coverage, and also we do show Sonar Cube and also Selenium test case integration with your DevOps pipeline as well, because these are mandatory things, right, for doing the
Oh,
DevOps.
okay, so you will show SonarQube integration. That's
Yes,
good.
yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
We are covering each and every aspect of Sonar Cube as well. That means coverage, and then plugins, and then quality gates. All those things will be covered in the
Okay.
labs.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
And Purna also will create a small project, right? Like or a small class file or something, and we'll see all the process, right? Checking the
Exactly. What we are going to
facts
do as
end to
part of
end.
the session, we will be taking one. So, guys, I'm from the Microsoft background, so obviously I tend to use .NET projects. Okay, so we'll take one .NET MVC project which contains both web as well as services, and then you have your unit test cases, and we use that throughout the course to apply all these processes and patterns to make the DevOps end to end. So basically, in the next session, I will show end to end DevOps architecture, how it looks like end to end DevOps. Okay.
Yeah.
Probably I will show, I will share that end to end DevOps. You can have a look at it, how it looks. I just don't want to share, but today, but let me share it. This is how it looks like end to end DevOps. So you cover all the phases: planning, version control, integration, CD, continuous deployment, Artifactory, log management, and monitoring. This is end-to-end DevOps, which is having integrations with all the different phases. Okay. We will cover this, all these things. Any other questions?
Hi Purna, this is Kumar here. As
Hi.
it is an application DevOps course, do we cover any tools like Postman?
See, that comes under development, right? Because some developer write some service, web
As
API,
it was
or
an application development DevOps support, so it will be required, right? Sometimes we need to check this Postman
no. See,
covered.
that's up to your willingness, right? So that's not a part of DevOps engineer role. Let us say you're talking about Postman, but if you are working for some other programming language or some other tool, and you will not know how to test them, right? Basically, you will set up CI/CD pipelines and then uh, provide feedback or provide logs to the development teams, but you are not fixing the issues. Uh, that comes
Yeah,
from
yeah,
the development.
just a basic understanding so that we can guide the developers whether the issue is on development end or it is from our end,
Yeah,
like that.
so that you can let the developer know from the logs available, right? Because you have the logs available. All you need to do is take the logs and provide the logs to the development teams. The reason I'm saying, you might be enthusiastic now to learn Postman, but tomorrow you will work for some other project. They will have some other tool in place. Do you learn that? It's not easy to learn in 1 day or 2 day, right?
The basics we need to understand so that we can, because simply sending the logs to the developers,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah, this is
right.
out of course, Kumar, because if I start telling you how to use a Postman script, right, then some other people come and ask me some other tool to show. Then I can never close the session. Let me be very upfront
As
here.
it is an application DevOps, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, you are right.
Because
You are,
it's not an infrastructure DevOps. I'm asking.
But only the thing is, let us say you have the Swagger. Someone comes and asks me, hey, teach me how, I mean, at least tell me basics about Swagger. Someone will come and ask
Yeah,
me, at least
yes,
tell me.
also
So I have my
Swagger
limitations
is
here.
required. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
correct, correct.
Yeah, understand. So just basics, like if we have any doubts regarding that,
Yeah,
you
so
will be
yeah,
able
doubts
to
can
give
be
me
cleared. You
input.
can email me. I can clear that. That's not a problem. But as part of the
Okay.
course, it's not feasible because we have the time constraints, like durations, right?
Yeah,
We
understand.
can't cover everything.
Sure, sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, Purna Bhaskar here. I need to know about the Docker configuration. Are you doing with the .NET project or Java?
So, so basically, I will show the examples using .NET projects. So we'll create the Docker images, containers, and we also use Azure Kubernetes service to deploy those containers. Okay, once you know the concept, if you're a Java guy, then these are the same concepts, same commands, and then the same platform. You
No,
can use
I'm
it.
a .NET guy, but I faced few issues while configuring Docker. It requires
Okay, okay.
virtualization of the system and all this, so I could not
These are different areas,
progress in
right?
that way.
First, you have to set the environment on your laptop. Okay. And again, it varies from version to version. Let us say Windows 8 is a different configuration. Windows 10 is a different configuration, the way you set up the environment, right? So probably people get into issues there.
Thank you.
Guys, we'll close the Q&A now because it's already 10 minutes past. And if you have any additional questions, please drop an email to me or talk to the management. If it is technical or related to course, I can clarify. And if it is anything related to other areas, talk to the management. Okay. Thanks everyone. Thanks very much for your time. I'm looking forward to see you guys again.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Purna.
Good.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.